Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. I'm Dan Labbe with Mary Kay Cabot, Ashley Bastock, and today we are going to do some Andrew Berry draft reviews. We're going to look at his third-round picks. Mary Kay, those are very important now for the Cleveland Browns as they don't have any first-rounders, and so to take a look at the third-round picks Andrew Berry has made in his 3 years as GM, kind of see, I figure we can talk about what's gone right, what's gone wrong with the pick. Do they still have a chance? Kind of go through some of these players that he's taken in the third round. And let's just go ahead and start with the 2020 draft. So there were 2 third-round picks in this draft. The first one was Jordan Elliott at number 88 overall. So, Mary Kay, when you look at Jordan Elliott, played a decent amount his first 2 years, but really took over as the starter at defensive tackle in year 3. Got talked up a ton in training camp leading up to the season. And then ultimately, here we are. The Browns are kind of looking for defensive tackles now. So where do you think the Jordan Elliott pick stands right now as of today?
Well, we had heard from everyone, including Chris Kiffin, the former Browns defensive line coach, who is now the linebackers coach of the Texans, departed just this week. We had heard from him that Jordan Elliott was supposed to have a breakout year last year. And then Myles Garrett followed that up and basically said the same thing. They thought they saw that he was lights out in the offseason and that he was really, really coming around and he was poised to take that big, huge step up into that starting role. It didn't really happen. I don't know if one of you guys have pulled up his PFF grade from last year yet, but it wasn't what you would expect. It was pretty low down the totem pole in terms of where he ranked amongst defensive tackles in the NFL. And it's just not what you need. And when you look at a Jim Schwartz defense, and I just posted a story talking to some Eagles defenders about Jim Schwartz, but one thing we know about him is the fact that he really loves his defensive tackles, and they have to perform very well. They have to be able to get to the quarterback. They have to be disruptive. They have to get pressures, tackles behind the line of scrimmage, force some fumbles, swats down some passes, and a lot of times they make it to the Pro Bowl. So that's the caliber of defensive tackle that Jim Schwartz is going to need on his defense. If Jordan Elliott is going to be a guy that he relies on, he's really going to have to step it up in his second full season as a starter in 2023, if that's the way it shakes out.
Yeah, Ashley, this isn't the most analytically driven analysis here, but just in 3 years of sitting in press boxes and hearing them announce every play, every tackle, I just haven't heard Jordan Elliott's name a lot. Now, he did get 2 sacks, I believe it was, this year, but I just never felt like he was an impactful defensive tackle along that line.
No, I mean, he really wasn't. There was really no one this year on that line that offered, that second level of production. They got that in 2021 from Jadeveon Clowney when he had 9 sacks. This year, Myles Garrett had 16 and Taven Bryan was number 2 with 2. So there was a huge drop-off this year. Looking at Jordan Elliott's PFF grades, these were across the board the lowest grades of his career, except for his pass rush grade at 59, again, because of those 2 sacks. I think he had 21 total pressures this year. But that was his highest grade overall. I think we went over this before, that when you looked at where the Browns defensive tackles ranked across the league, he was in the 130s for defensive grade. He had the worst run defense grade on the team. And that's obviously not what you want out of the front of your defense. So I think it's safe to say, the way guys were talking about him, I think we expected there to be more production in terms of rushing the passer, creating takeaways, stopping the run, seeing those kind of big hits that you would expect given the way they were talking about him. And we just didn't see that.
So I want to talk about these 2 players together. I have questions about both of them together. So let's also talk about that other third-round pick that the Browns made, and this one was at number 97 overall. This was a supplemental pick. Jacob Phillips out of LSU. So Mary Kay, when you look at Jacob Phillips, this was a guy that it seemed like somebody wanted him to start, whether it was the coaching staff or the front office or someone wanted Jacob Phillips to be the starting middle linebacker this year. It ended up being Anthony Walker. And when Jacob had his opportunities after Walker got hurt, before Jacob got hurt, it wasn't great. He didn't really show much to be like, okay, maybe there's something here. It's been injuries, it's been performance, it's just been a lot of things with Jacob so far.
It really has. And, last year he suffered the torn biceps and missed most of the season. And then, of course, he comes back this year. They had very high hopes for him. He was in that battle. But Anthony Walker was not about to give that job up very easily at all. He stepped up his game in a very big way and really seized the moment and took that job to the point where I thought he was playing some of the absolute best ball of his career in his first few games before he suffered the torn quad, which is a really tough injury to come back from. So Jacob, unable to beat out Anthony Walker, that doesn't really speak very well of what he's been able to accomplish so far. And as you mentioned, then he ended up with a torn pec. So now he is in the process of trying to work his way back from that. And it's just going to be a matter of, can he overcome these injuries? And what does Jim Schwartz see in him when he's watching the film? Does he believe that he needs an upgrade? I mean,